Hey folks, welcome to this week's episode of DC Top 10. Sorry for our, lack of videos the last couple of weeks. We've been having internet problems and, well, you know, around Christmas and everything, we kind of needed to take a break. But this week, we're back at number 2. Now, my number 2 is Deus Ex, a series of action RPGs published by Eidos Interactive. Beginning with the newest installment, Human Revolution, the story is set in 2027 and follows Adam Jensen, a security officer for Seraph Industries, which is a biotech company that manufactures human augmentations. In the beginning, Seraph is attacked by well-trained mercs. Now, during the attack, Adam is almost killed, and his ex-girlfriend Megan Reed, who is also the head scientist at Seraph Industries, along with her team, is killed. To save his life, Adam is heavily modified with mechanical augmentations. 6 months later, Adam sets out to find answers. In a secret female facility under Detroit, Adam defeats one of the merc leaders, Lawrence Barrett. Travelling to Hengsha in China, Adam, with help from a local trial boss, Tong Si-hun, uncovers that bell tower mercenaries and Taiyang Medical were behind the attacks. Receiving news that Eliza Kassan, a celebrity news anchor for Picus TV, may be also involved, Adam travels to Montreal. There he finds that Eliza is actually an AI used by the Illuminati. After defeating another one of the Black Ops mercenaries, Yelena Fedorova, Adam escapes back to Detroit and confronts William Taggart, who is the leader of the anti-augmentation movement, and his assistant Sandoval. Sandoval confirms that Megan and her research team are still alive. Meanwhile, Seraph Industries is under attack by anti-aug rioters. There, Seraph's resident hacker, Francis Pritchard, manages to track one of the researchers' implants back to Hengsha. But on returning there, Adam's VTOL is shot down and he narrowly manages to save the pilot Faraday Malik. The trace leads him once again to Tong Si-hun, who has recently procured a new arm augmentation which belongs to one of the research team. In exchange for information on the whereabouts of Megan and the team, Adam helps Tong's son escape Hengsha Island. Stowing aboard a bell tower cargo ship, Adam is soon caught and brought to Rifleman Bank Station, where he finds a young scientist named Gary Savage experimenting on innocent captives. Adam helps free these individuals along with a scientist who can expose the plot. Boarding another ship and entering cryo-storage, Adam wakes up at Omega Ranch, Singapore, about a week later, where the scientists are being held. Making his way into the secure sector, he encounters Taiyang Medical CEO Zhao Yunru. Adam confronts her about the Illuminati creating a kill switch for all the augmented people. Zhao confirms this and shortly after dispatches the last Black Ops mercenary, Nimir, to kill Adam. Once Nimir is defeated, Adam finds Megan, who reveals that the father of augmentation, Hugh Darrow, owns the facility, and the basis for her revolutionary research is Adam's DNA. Meanwhile, at Panchea, a geoengineering facility in the Arctic Ocean, Darrow activates a signal that causes augmented people with a biochip upgrade to turn violently insane. Scientists escape on Malik's VTOL while Adam travels to Panchea. Making his way to the control room, Adam shuts down the signal and kills Zhao, who was attempting to integrate herself with Panchea's system. Eliza Kassan appears and informs Adam of the choice he must now make in regards to what he should tell the world. Hugh Darrow wants him to tell the truth and have augmentation banned. Bill Taggart wants to blame the events of tainted anti-rejection drugs, thus ensuring tight regulation on augmentations. You can also set the facility to self-destruct, to letting humanity decide for itself. However, the canon ending is David Seraph's proposal, blaming anti-augmentation terrorists, allowing augmentations to develop further. This leads to Adam's DNA being used as the basis for something called the D Project. The original Deus Ex begins roughly 25 years after the prequel. Following J.C. Denton, a newly augmented agent working for the United Nations Anti-Terrorist Coalition, or UNACO, at the time of the game, mechanical augmentations are soon to be obsolete in favour of nano-augmentations. A worldwide plague known as the Great Death is hitting the population hard and terrorism is rife across the world. JC's first mission is to infiltrate Liberty Island and stave off an attack by the NSF, which is a National Secessionist Force, freeing captured agent Gunther Herman along the way. JC is then sent to New York with agent Anna Navarra to retrieve caches of the Ambrosia vaccine and to disable an NSF generator. JC eventually tracks down the leader of the NSF, Juan Lebedev, and finds that his brother Paul Denton is in fact working with the terrorists. Giving Paul the benefit of the doubt, JC kills Anna Navarre so as to stop the assassination of Lebedev. Unaware of JC's betrayal, UNACO sent him to Hong Kong, although JC's pilot instead redirects him back to Paul's apartment in New York. After Paul corroborates his story that UNACO is a crooked organisation, the hotel is raided. Both Paul and JC are captured and wake up in a mysterious facility. With help from a hacker named Eidos, they manage to escape whilst figuring out that the facility is operated by a group called Majestic 12, a splinter group of the Illuminati run by wealthy businessman Bob Page. The MJ-12 facility is actually hidden underneath UNACO HQ, and before escaping, JC is informed that all nano-augmented agents have kill switch systems. In order to remove these systems, JC is forced to go into Hong Kong to find a scientist named Tracer Tong, son of Tong Si-hung from the prequel. Although Tracer Tong is affiliated with the Triad, neither the Luminous Path, led by Gordon Quick, or the Red Arrow, led by Max Chen, are willing to reveal Tong's location because of a gang war. Upon investigating a local VersaLife facility, JC discovers that Bob Page and Maggie Chow started the conflict to destabilise the area. After restoring peace, JC is able to meet with Tong and disable his kill switch. Returning to the VersaLife facility, JC finds that the Grey Date is in fact man-made. Tong directs JC to Paris and Morgan Everett, a member of the Illuminati. Making contact with a terrorist cell known as Silhouette and their leader, Chad Dumier, Chad introduces JC to Nicolette Duclair, whose mother was also a member of the Illuminati. Once contact with Everett is made, JC is able to put the remaining pieces of the puzzle together. Daedalus is actually a sentient AI who went rogue. Icarus is a successor and is still controlled by Page, whose goal is world domination. Heading to Vandenberg Air Force Base and finding lead researcher in nanotechnology, Gary Savage, JC helps defend against the MJ-12 attack, during which the Daedalus and Icarus AIs merge into the all-powerful Helios. At a final encounter at Area 51, Bob Page is attempting to merge with the Helios AI. In a bid to stop Page, JC joins with Helios first, turning himself into an entity capable of managing world order. He also initiates a meltdown of Area 51's Aquinas router, which would destabilise global communication and revert civilization to a less centralised existence, along with the added bonus of killing Bob Page. The next one is Deus Ex Invisible War, which came out a couple of years after the original, and it occurs 20 years after the Great Collapse at Area 51. Both JC and Paul are unaccounted for, however nano-modification is now more widespread. The game begins in Chicago, where a terrorist sets off a nanite detonator in order to destroy the nearby Tarsus Academy. This destroys the entire city, however the trainees luckily escape. One of these trainees is Alex D, the protagonist, while the other is Billy Adams. Travelling to Seattle, the Academy is under similar attack from a group known as the Order. Escaping the facility, Alex is contacted by several groups. Lin Mei Chen, Order member and daughter of Max Chen and Maggie Chow, claims that her group did not attack the facility. The World Trade Organization, led by Chad Dumier, former leader of Silhouette, wishes him to work for them. Making her way to the Order Church reveals that a group known as the Templars was responsible for the Tarsus attack. At the WTO air terminal, a pilot named Ava Johnson is looking to escape. After helping her, Alex travels to Mako Ballistics, where a new weapon for the Templars is being made. Here we find that Tarsus is actually run by Apostle Corps, who have a base in Cairo. In Cairo, Dr. Lena Nassif reveals that Alex is the third Denton prototype, a clone of JC. She also points Alex in the direction of Trier, Germany. At a bar in Trier, Alex meets Tracer Tong, who informs Alex that during a peace summit the leader of the Order was captured. Rescuing her reveals that she is Nicolette Duclair and that both the Order and WTO are Illuminati organisations. Also, at the Black Gate ruins is a Grey who tells how, even though his species started as an experiment, JC freed them and taught them logic. Using a teleportation device, Alex is transported to an Antarctic base where JC is in suspended animation. Freeing him sets the stage for the endgame. JC first wants you to retrieve Paul from Cairo and then meet him at Liberty Island. At the island, Alex helps JC the Helios link with the Aquinas router, turning the world into a true utopian society. Now, bearing in mind that this was the path I chose in Deus Ex, all the games offer multiple endings, each with their own philosophies. None of them are clear-cut, bad or good, and it's up to the player's own political views to determine the ending. This story is groundbreaking, that each game is interconnected through family ties and genetics. Every step you take has multiple repercussions and will have you doubting your actions at times. Conspiracy theories are abundant and you're never truly sure of people's loyalties. This was another easy choice for me because it's plainly obvious that the writers put an incredible amount of time and effort into its creation. Well, that was my number 2. We'll have a quick recap next week, plus our number 1 spot, of course. But for now, I'm going to leave you over to Kevin. Good luck, folks.
Many that live in darkness that must be shown the way, for it is the dawning of a new day.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of DC Top 10. This week I'm looking at the highly controversial yet brilliant Stanley Kubrick film, Clockwork Orange. The film takes place in a futuristic London, where Alex, played by Malcolm McDowell, is the leader of the Droogs, along with his buddies Pete, George and Dim, one of many youth gangs in the decaying metropolis. One night, after intoxicating themselves on what they call Milk Plus, they engage in an evening of ultra-violence, including beating an elderly vagrant, fighting a rival gang led by Billy Boy. Stealing a car, they drive into the country home of writer F. Alexander, where they beat Mr. Alexander to the point of crippling him for life. Alex then rapes his wife while singing Singing in the Rain. Nice song. Next day, while dusting from school, Alex is approached by Prohibition officer Mr. P.R. Deltoid, who is aware of Alex's violence and cautions him. After the events of the night before, his Droogs expressed discontent with Alex's petty crimes, demanding more equality and more high yield thefts. Alex reasserts his leadership by attacking them and throwing him into the canal. That night, Alex invades the mansion of a wealthy woman. While his Droogs remain at the front door, Alex bludgeons the woman with a marble statue. Hearing police siren, Alex tries to run away, but is betrayed by his Droogs. Dim smashes a pint bottle of milk across his face, leaving him stunned and bleeding. Alex is captured and brutally beaten by the police. He is then informed that the woman subsequently died in hospital, making him a murderer. Alex is sent to 14 years in incarceration. 2 years into his sentence, the Minister for the Interior arrives at the prison, looking for volunteers for the Luvito technique, an experimental aversion therapy for rehabilitating criminals within 2 weeks. Alex readily volunteers. The process involves drugging the subject, strapping him to a chair, popping open his eyelids and forcing him to watch violent movies. Alex, initially pleased by the violent images he sees, starts to become nauseated due to the drugs. As he realises that the film's soundtrack is by his favourite composer Ludwig van Beethoven, and that the Luvito technique will make him sick anytime he hears the music, he tries unsuccessfully to end the treatment. After 2 weeks of the treatment, the Minister for the Interior puts a demonstration to prove that Alex is cured. He is shown that he is incapable of fighting back against a man that insults and attacks him, and becomes violently ill at the sight of a topless woman. Poor bastard. Though the prison chaplain protests the results, saying that there is no morality without choice, the prison governor asserts that they are not interested in the moral questions, but only the means to prevent violence. Alex is released and finds that his possessions have been confiscated by the police to help make a restoration to his victims. His parents have also rented out his room. Homeless, Alex encounters the same elderly vagrant from before, who attacks him with several of his friends. Alex is saved by two policemen, but is shocked to discover they are 2 of his former Droogs, Dim and George. They drag Alex to the countryside, where they beat him and nearly drown him. The dazed Alex wanders the countryside before coming to a house of the Mr. Alexander, and collapses right in front of him. Alex wakes up to find himself being treated by Mr. Alexander and his manservant Julian. Mr. Alexander does not remember Alex from the earlier attack, but has read about his treatment in the newspapers and sees Alex as a political weapon to usurp the government. Exposing the Luvito technique as a step towards totalitarianism by the way of mind control, Mr. Alexander prepares to introduce Alex to the fellow colleagues. He hears Alex singing in the rain while in the bed, and the memories of the earlier assault return to him. With his colleagues' help, Mr. Alexander drugs Alex and places him in a locked upstairs bedroom. Playing Beethoven's Ninth Symphony through the floor below, Alex is in excruciating pain, throws himself out the window, and is knocked unconscious by the fall. Alex wakes up in a hospital having dreamt about doctors messing around inside his head. While being given a series of psychological tests, Alex finds that he is no longer under the aversion of the treatment. The Minister for Interior arrives and apologises to Alex, letting him know that Mr. Alexander has been put away and offers Alex an important government job. As a sign of goodwill, the Minister brings in a stereo system playing Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. Alex then realises that instead of an adverse reaction to the music, he sees an image of himself having sex with a woman in front of an approving audience. He then states in a sarcastic and menacing voiceover, I was cured, all right. Despite the film's controversial nature, A Clockwork Orange was a hit with the American audience, grossing over $26 million on a conservative budget of $2.2 million, and was critically well received and nominated for several awards, including Academy Award for Best Picture, losing out to The French Connection. It has also boosted sales of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. The film's social commentary on how government manipulates people for its own end still applies to the current political climate that we have today, which is amazing to see what little has changed since the film's original release over 40 years ago. The film has become so popular that it has been referenced throughout several other mediums, most notably its numerous references seen in The Simpsons. Despite what side of the moral fence you fall on, we can all agree that A Clockwork Orange will always be known as one of the most great sci-fi films of all time. I'll see you next week for my number one. Goodbye.
No time for the old in and out, love. I've just come to read the meter.